So welcome everyone, and I want to pay respects to the Windjabal people of the Bundjalung Nation, on which I'm coming to you from, which is in Lismore, northern New South Wales. And today is Saturday, the December the 6th, I think, in relative world time. And yeah, today I'd like to kind of go along the theme of the Eightfold Path, actually, but a particular component of it, which is that component of meditation, of course, but also leaning towards this understanding that what the Eightfold Path is: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. What it is really like an opportunity to cultivate, well, it's the path of cultivating the wholesome and releasing the unwholesome, letting go of the unwholesome, becoming the unwholesome. And I think I incline to look at both these processes. They're kind of mutually supportive, actually. When we can let go of the unwholesome, we cultivate the wholesome, and when we cultivate the wholesome, we're naturally reciprocally letting go of the unwholesome. And but what I'd like to do is kind of just attend to the unwholesome a little bit more today, because that's what I noticed when I went on my journeys to Thailand, and it was a really, really wonderful trip. And I stayed in 4 different monasteries, all with different teachers, and I visited my the teacher that I've been listening to for the last couple of years, Ajahn Jayasaro. He doesn't live in a temple. He lives in a kind of a hermitage. And yeah, it was really wonderful. I had these wonderful teachings, as I'll talk a little bit about in the Dhamma talk. And I noticed that as I went there, I had a little bit of fear, trepidation, and the whole process became a way of facing up to my fears, as well as, really appreciating the joys and the wonderful things about Thailand. So it's a beautiful place. And in this process of letting go of the unwholesome, it's about what I've noticed was I noticed my defilements, my mental distortions, and it became a wonderful opportunity to let them go and work with them. So today I was thinking about the meditations that I could offer or invite you to today, and I remember Lisa gave a talk the other day. Lisa Brown, who's my colleague and Dharma friend. We ran a retreat last week. Just finished on Wednesday, actually. Wednesday? No, Thursday. They finished on Thursday lunchtime, and I gave 3 talks. Lisa gave 2, and in one of her talks, she was mentioning how she really liked listening to one of these old meditations that I recorded years and years ago, probably about 20 years ago now. And it's called, I've got my book of scripts here. I just got it up to remember what I did. But it's called Mindfulness of the 5 Hindrances. Mindfulness of the 5 Hindrances and Cultivating the 7 Factors. And I thought, oh yeah, maybe that would be a good kind of good meditation to invite you to. So I'll give a bit of guidance. I mean, you guys don't need guidance, but I know even I appreciate guidance, and been meditating for many years, and I'm sure I think you also appreciate guidance. It's nice to hear someone else's mind, so to speak. So I'll do that meditation, and I thought I usually do these days with one of the Brahma Viharas, and I thought perhaps the Brahma Vihara fitting for today would be equanimity. So, I'm just tossing up whether to do equanimity first, equanimity as a divine abode first, or later. But I think I'll just introduce it. I'll start the day with an introduction to. I'll introduce the day. No, I'll say that again. I'll start the day of meditation with an invitation to doing equanimity as a divine abode. And then I'll invite you to settle into the moment as in a different meditation. I'll invite you to settle into the moment and notice your state of mind and scan your mind or review your state of mind, looking for the hindrances, and in looking for them, release them, and in releasing them, experience joy. And then with that experience of joy, I'll invite you to exercise the 7 factors of awakening, which will culminate in equanimity. And from there, maybe we can just be present. Being present in whatever way is suitable for you. It could be being present with the sensory experiences of sight, sound, smell, touch, taste, and mind, or it could be just being present and maybe even having some samadhi with the breathing, like at the nose tip or in your abdomen or in your whole body. So how does that sound, guys? Does that sound all good? Good? Okay. So maybe I'll mention a little bit about equanimity as a divine abode. There's equanimity is the result of insight practice, and there's a different type of equanimity as a result of serenity practice. So it's one of the features of it is the feature of the 4th jhana, for example. And the way a feature of equanimity as a result of insight is more like equanimity about formations, equanimity about mental creations, like sankharas, equanimity about formations, things that arise, like creations that arise in the world and in our mind, and also equanimity about. I think it's the one about equanimity of the senses, like whatever comes to the sense doors, there's a sense of balance and unshakability and centeredness. Equanimity that results from serenity is more aligned with that 4th jhana, which is a stillness and an unshakability. It's like a quietness and a stillness and a brightness. And the analogy that's used in the sutras is as if a person is covered in a sheet, a white sheet. And the way I take that is that it's kind of luminous, it's bright, but it's also kind of sort of insulating in some ways from the ways of the world, like the ways of praise and blame, loss and gain, pain and pleasure, success and failure, and fame and disrepute, or social acceptance and social rejection of those. I said 10 there, didn't I? But there's eight worldly winds. There's 8 polar opposites. So in some ways, it's like an insulation from that, as well as a kind of a bright awareness of things, bright awareness of the world, but not kind of caught up in it, if that makes sense. So that's the way I see equanimity there. And that particular type of equanimity is equanimity of, I think it's called equanimity of the jhanas, actually. But anyway, so when we come to equanimity as a divine abode, and you remember that the divine abodes are, one, they're ways we relate to self and other, and we relate to, the world of other, but also ways we relate to ourselves. And they are also boundless states of mind. When I say boundless, I'm thinking about that term appamana, which means this expansive, boundless state. No, I sometimes get a bit hesitant to use the word non-dual in a Theravadan Buddhist practices, but it is sort of like that. It's sort of like this separation between self and other begins to dissolve away. There's a reduction in that self and the subject-object bifurcation, and also there's a a sense of, well, if there was a word that relates to non-duality in Theravada Buddhism, it would be Attamayata. And Attamayata, a Pali word, literally translates as non-concoctability or non-concocting. So there's, and in this sense, when I've kind of inquired into this, what we do is we concoct with our mental creations a separation between you and me, if that makes sense. We make the world a dualistic world. So when we don't have any concocting, we don't have any creations of our world with our mind, then there's just this. And there's, just this prior to conceptualizing about me and it, or you, me and you, and, the trees out there, my dog's sitting on his lounge. It's his lounge now. I don't sit on that chair anymore. I won't show you in, but, that all those fabrications dissolve away. So equanimity as a divine abode is a bit like that. But the other thing about it is that the way we cultivate it, as far as I understand, is about reflecting on times when we've been deeply peaceful, maybe times when we've been equanimous, or reflecting on signs of equanimity, that we may see it in another person. We may see a deep peacefulness in another person, a deep centeredness, or we may even have an image like a mountain that's unshaken by the weather and the winds and the beings that crawl all over it. It kind of seems to be enduring. Or whatever way we can rouse the sign of equanimity, and it could be a felt sense. Personally, I noticed that I'm very much a somatic type felt sense person. I feel things in my body a lot. But some people don't have that, and they more have like a visual sense. They have a vision of something, like a vision of a mountain or a solid tree, safe for equanimity, unshaken and stable and strong. And yet other people, they like to use words. And sometimes people like to use all of those kind of ways of recognizing the sign of equanimity. Some people, for example, might just like to say the word peace, or, things are just the way they are, or whatever it is. And whatever you use, you make that the object of your attention, and I endeavor to bring it to my heart. I let it arise in my heart rather than just in my head. Like I might rouse it with what we normally call the head, like some sort of recollection or some sort of thought or some sort of memory. But then I like to drop into my heart, and then I like to expand it. Now, having said that, I expand it through my body. Having said that, again, some people that means nothing to. They say, "What are you talking about?" I don't do that. But those people can have a kind of a cognition, like that this peacefulness is spreading and touching the hearts of all beings, for example, whatever beings there are. So that's what I think I'll invite you to. That first meditation will be equanimity as a divine abode. And then if you want, we can just segue. I'll ring the bell. And I know my noise, if I go into my details of noise suppression, it's at a minimal level. So some things are sneaking through. But I think you can put it to a full level. You might have had it as a full level before, Susie. Hence, people couldn't hear the bell when you're trying to ring it, maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway. Okay, so is any outline for the day? Of course, we'll have, having this intro and orientation right now. I usually finish that about now, which is about 9:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Yep. So I'll probably guide you in these two meditations. I reckon for maybe 45 minutes, 50 minutes. and then we might just have a meditation in silence. Or, I might do it for an hour. We'll see how we go. Then at 20 to 11, we'll have a break, go and get a cup of tea or biscuits if you wish to eat biscuits if you're that type of person who has morning tea. I haven't had that morning tea like that for years, but I don't know, when I've worked in uh, government services, they always have this morning tea. They go to the tea room, they have biscuits and tea, and very interesting. Anyway, whatever you want to do, have a break. And then we'll come back at 11 o'clock and I'll offer a Dharma talk about some reflections on my travels to Thailand with a kind of a focus on letting go of the defilements, letting go of the mental distortions. Okay, so thanks very much. Any questions about all that? All right, I'm going to turn the recording off and then start it up again.